Hey there, welcome to Zen, Grit, and a Dash of Mischief. I'm your host, Andres, and today we're diving into something that's been bugging me for a while. This whole idea of work-life balance. I've been thinking a lot about how we're all chasing this perfect equilibrium between our professional and personal lives. We attend seminars, read self-help books, try every productivity hack under the sun, all in pursuit of this mythical balance where work stays at work and life stays at home. But let's get real for a minute. Has anyone actually achieved this? Or are we all just stressing ourselves out, trying to reach something that doesn't actually exist in today's world? Here's what I think. Work-life balance is dead. It's a concept from another era, when people punched time cards at factories and work rarely followed them home. That's not our reality anymore. In today's episode, we're going to explore why balance was always kind of an illusion, and why work-life integration is a much more realistic framework for our hyper-connected, technology-driven lives. We'll look at how this shift isn't just semantics, but a fundamental change in how we approach our relationship with work. And potentially a much healthier one at that. So if you've ever felt like a failure because you couldn't maintain that perfect balance, this episode is for you. Let's rethink what's possible together. Let's get honest about this whole work-life balance thing. It's a concept we've been chasing for decades, but I'm here to tell you it was an illusion from the start. It's like hunting for a unicorn. Sounds magical, but you're never going to catch one. First, this idea of balance assumes that work and life are these completely separate domains that can be neatly compartmentalized. Work goes in this box, life goes in that box, and never the twain shall meet. But that's fundamentally flawed thinking. Work is part of life, not separate from it. It's one of the many elements that make up our existence. This binary thinking sets us up for failure from the get-go. Then there's this assumption that equal time distribution is both possible and desirable. Like somehow we should be spending exactly 50% of our energy on work and 50% on everything else. But life doesn't operate in perfect splits. Some weeks, you've got a massive project deadline and need to go all in professionally. Other weeks, your kid gets sick or your parent needs help, and personal matters take priority. Life ebbs and flows. It doesn't divide evenly on a pie chart. Another problem? The balance metaphor frames work as inherently negative, something we need to counterbalance against the good stuff in life. It positions our careers as something we endure rather than potentially enjoy or find meaning in. But many of us actually like our work. Many of us find purpose and fulfillment in our professional contributions. Why are we setting up this false dichotomy where work is bad and everything else is good? And let's talk about the metaphor itself. Balance is inherently precarious. Think about it. When you're balancing on one foot, one small shift, and everything topples, is that really the metaphor we want for our lives? This creates constant anxiety and a perpetual sense of failure when the scales inevitably tip, which they always will. No wonder we're all stressed out. A 2022 Deloitte survey found that 77% of people have experienced burnout at their current job. That's not a few people falling through the cracks. That's the majority of us. And 91% say that unmanageable stress impacts the quality of their work. These numbers tell us something important. The pursuit of balance isn't just failing us, it's actively harming us. The truth is, we've been sold a bill of goods. We've been chasing an outdated concept that doesn't match how we actually live and work today. and it's time we called it what it is: a well-intentioned but ultimately harmful myth that's causing more stress than it's solving. The world of work has fundamentally transformed, and we need to acknowledge how profound this shift really is. Gone are the days when work happened exclusively in factories and offices between 9 and 5, with a clear whistle signaling the end of the workday and the beginning of real life. Today's knowledge economy has completely reshaped our relationship with work. Think about it. When was the last time you went an entire weekend without checking a work email or thinking about a project? When did you last leave the office and truly leave your work behind? For most of us, those clear boundaries disappeared years ago. Technology has accelerated this transformation, creating a work environment that never truly powers down. Our smartphones essentially function as portable offices, keeping us perpetually connected to our professional responsibilities. That Slack notification at 9 p.m., that email that pops up during your child's recital, these aren't exceptions to the rule. They've become the norm for knowledge workers around the globe. The COVID-19 pandemic didn't create this reality. It just made it impossible to ignore any longer. When our living rooms became our offices overnight, that final veil between work life and home life was permanently lifted. Even as some return to physical workplaces, that mindset shift can't be undone. The boundaries have been irreversibly blurred. The statistics on workplace stress and burnout paint a devastating picture of what happens when we try to maintain this fiction of separate domains. A 2022 Gallup study found that 76% of workers experience burnout at least sometimes, with nearly 30% saying they feel it very often or always. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization now recognizes burnout as an occupational phenomenon characterized by feelings of energy depletion, increased mental distance from one's job, and reduced professional efficacy. They estimate the cost of burnout to the global economy at $1 trillion per year in lost productivity. This isn't just about being tired or having a bad day at work. We're talking about a systemic failure that's affecting our health, our relationships, and our ability to find meaning in what we do. Research from the American Institute of Stress shows that workplace stress contributes to approximately 120,000 deaths each year and results in nearly $190 billion in healthcare expenditures. The data is unequivocal. Trying to maintain this artificial separation between work and the rest of life isn't just challenging, it's literally killing us. The balance approach asks us to do something that has become functionally impossible in a digitally connected, globally competitive economy. So if balance is dead, and I believe the evidence overwhelmingly suggests it is, what comes next? How do we navigate a world where the lines between professional and personal have been permanently blurred? That's where integration enters the picture, and it represents our best path forward. Work-life integration acknowledges the reality we're living in rather than fighting against it. Instead of trying to build walls between our professional and personal domains, integration focuses on creating a holistic approach that allows both to coexist and complement each other. This shift isn't merely semantic. It represents a fundamental change in how we conceptualize our relationship with work. Integration recognizes that technology has permanently blurred the lines between work and personal life. We check work emails while waiting for our children's soccer practice to end. We handle personal matters during brief breaks in our workday. We take calls while preparing dinner and respond to Slack messages while watching TV. But here's the key insight. This blending isn't necessarily negative. Integration allows for greater flexibility and autonomy. It enables us to design our days around our natural energy patterns rather than arbitrary 9 to 5 schedules. It acknowledges that humans aren't machines that can compartmentalize different aspects of their existence. What integration offers is the freedom to be more fully human, to recognize that we don't stop being parents when we log into a work meeting, and we don't stop having professional insights when we're out for a run. Our brains don't work in neat compartments, and our lives shouldn't have to either. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated this trend dramatically. Remote and hybrid work arrangements became mainstream, further eroding the boundaries between work and home. A 2023 Gallup poll found that 52% of all workers, including 71% of remote workers, now operate in arrangements with significant flexibility. This wasn't just a temporary adjustment, it was a permanent shift in how we relate to work. Many who experienced this new way of working discovered something surprising. They didn't want to go back. Not because they wanted to work less, but because they wanted to work differently. Integration allows us to interweave our professional and personal priorities in ways that make sense for our unique lives. Maybe that means working intensely for 4 hours in the morning, taking a midday break to exercise or be with family, and then returning for focused work in the evening when the house is quiet. Or perhaps it means compressing work into 4 days so you can devote a weekday to a personal passion project. The point is that integration doesn't prescribe a single model. It opens possibilities for customization based on individual needs, values, and circumstances. It's about finding the rhythm that works for you, not conforming to an industrial age template that was designed for factory efficiency, not human flourishing. Of course, this doesn't mean work should invade every corner of life. Quite the opposite. Effective integration requires thoughtful boundaries, but these boundaries are based on personal energy, values, and well-being rather than rigid time slots on a calendar. The difference is subtle but profound. Let's look at the workplace trends that confirm integration isn't just a theory. It's already happening all around us. Several major shifts in how organizations operate show that the integration model is becoming the new normal, not just a passing fad. First, there's the dramatic rise of asynchronous work models. Companies like GitLab and Doist have built their entire organizational structures around asynchronous communication. This approach allows teams to collaborate effectively across time zones without requiring everyone to be present simultaneously. What's fascinating is that these companies aren't just surviving with this model, they're thriving. They've discovered that when you remove the expectation of immediate responses, you often get more thoughtful, higher quality work while allowing employees to structure their days in ways that make sense for their lives. Then we have the growing adoption of results-only work environments, or ROWs. These organizations focus entirely on outcomes rather than hours logged or physical presence. The data here is compelling. Companies implementing ROW principles have reported productivity increases of up to 40%, while simultaneously reducing turnover by a staggering 90%. When you think about it, this makes perfect sense. Measuring what people produce rather than how long they sit at a desk aligns incentives much more effectively. Technology companies are also redesigning their tools specifically to support integration. Look at how Google Workspace and Microsoft Teams have evolved. They now include features for setting working hours, scheduling focused time, and managing notifications to prevent digital overload. These aren't afterthoughts. They're core features designed with the recognition that people need tools that help them navigate the integrated world rather than contributing to digital burnout. What's particularly interesting is how progressive companies are moving beyond simply offering unlimited vacation policies, which often result in people taking less time off due to unclear expectations, to implementing minimum vacation requirements. Organizations like HubSpot and LinkedIn have instituted mandatory vacation days to ensure employees actually disconnect. This represents a significant shift in thinking, from seeing time off as a reward to recognizing it as an essential component of sustainable performance. Perhaps one of the most radical trends is the 4-day work week, which is gaining serious traction globally. Companies experimenting with compressed schedules report maintained or improved productivity alongside significant gains in employee satisfaction and well-being. These organizations aren't reducing expectations. They're reimagining how work gets done. They're discovering that giving people more control over their time often results in more focused, efficient work during the hours they are working. What all these trends have in common is a fundamental rethinking of the relationship between time, location, and productivity. They acknowledge that in knowledge work particularly, value creation isn't linearly related to hours worked. They recognize that humans perform better when they have autonomy over how they structure their lives. And most importantly, they signal that integration isn't just a coping mechanism for a broken system. It's potentially a better way of working and living altogether. When properly implemented, work-life integration offers substantial benefits that go well beyond simply making our hectic lives more manageable. Let's break down these advantages with some real evidence behind them. First, there's the increased autonomy that integration provides. When people have greater control over when and how they work, we see measurable improvements in both satisfaction and performance. Research from the University of Birmingham found that workers with scheduling flexibility report 29% higher productivity and 53% less absenteeism. This isn't just people feeling better. These are concrete business metrics showing that giving people agency over their schedules pays dividends. Another significant benefit comes from reducing what I call transition costs. Think about your typical day under the old balance model. You're constantly switching between work mode and personal mode, and each of these transitions takes a mental and emotional toll. This cognitive tax is substantial. Studies show that context switching can consume up to 40% of productive time. Integration reduces these costly transitions by acknowledging that our brains don't operate like light switches that can be flipped between different domains of our lives. Integration also allows us to better align work with our natural productivity rhythms. Some of us are morning people who do our best creative thinking before 10 a.m. Others hit our stride in the afternoon or evening. The traditional 9-to-5 schedule ignores these biological realities, forcing night owls to make important decisions at 9 a.m. and asking early birds to be creative at 4 p.m. Integration lets us work with our biology rather than against it. Then there's the decreased presenteeism, a massive hidden cost in many organizations. Presenteeism happens when employees are physically present but mentally disengaged, and it costs businesses billions annually. By focusing on meaningful contribution rather than mere presence, integration addresses this problem at its source. Perhaps most compelling for organizations is how integration affects talent attraction and retention. A 2023 LinkedIn survey found that 72% of professionals rank work-life integration as very important when considering job opportunities. This is particularly true among younger generations who prioritize flexibility and purposeful work. In a competitive talent market, organizations that resist integration risk becoming increasingly unattractive to top performers. What's fascinating about all these benefits is how they create virtuous cycles. When people have more autonomy, they often develop greater ownership over their work. When they experience fewer jarring transitions, they preserve more mental energy for deep thinking. When they work in alignment with their natural rhythms, they produce higher quality output with less effort. Integration isn't just about making work fit more comfortably into our lives. It's about creating the conditions for both professional excellence and personal fulfillment. It's about recognizing that when people are treated as whole human beings rather than compartmentalized resources, both the individuals and the organizations they're part of can thrive in new ways. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that work-life integration, despite its compelling benefits, isn't some magical solution without challenges. Let's look honestly at the potential pitfalls that both individuals and organizations need to navigate. The most significant risk, and I've experienced this myself, is the danger of being always on. Without clear delineation between professional and personal domains, work can easily expand to fill all available time. The technology that enables integration can also enable constant connectivity. A Microsoft study found that since February 2020, the average Teams user experienced a staggering 252% increase in weekly meeting time, with the workday expanding by 46 minutes. When work has no clear boundaries, it tends to colonize more and more of our lives. There's also a serious equity issue here that doesn't get discussed enough. The reality is that integration looks radically different depending on your role in the workforce. Knowledge workers with greater autonomy can more easily blend work and life on their own terms. But what about frontline workers, retail employees, healthcare professionals, manufacturing staff? These workers often lack similar flexibility, creating a troubling divide in who gets to benefit from these new work paradigms. This isn't just an abstract concern. When organizations implement integration policies without considering all employee types, they risk creating two-tier systems where some workers enjoy flexibility while others remain locked in rigid arrangements. This dynamic can breed resentment and undermine the very cultural benefits integration is supposed to create. Another challenge is that effective integration requires skills that many of us haven't developed. The industrial-era work model gave us clear external boundaries. The factory whistle blew, and you knew work was over. But integration puts the responsibility for boundary setting on the individual, requiring a whole new set of capabilities. The ability to communicate availability clearly, to say no appropriately, to manage energy rather than just time, these are sophisticated skills that don't come naturally to most of us. Many people find themselves either overworking because they lack boundary-setting abilities or feeling guilty during personal time because they haven't developed healthy psychological separation practices. Integration also creates complex social dynamics. When one team member is sending emails at 11 p.m. because that works for their schedule, it can create implicit pressure for others to respond, even if that wasn't the intention. Without clear team norms, individual integration choices can unintentionally create collective stress. For parents and caregivers, integration poses particular challenges. While the flexibility can be helpful, the constant potential for work intrusion can make it difficult to be fully present with family. The cognitive load of managing both domains simultaneously can be exhausting, even when the schedule itself is flexible. Successful work-life integration isn't about haphazardly mixing work and personal activities. It requires intentional frameworks that provide structure without rigidity. Let me share some practical strategies that have proven effective for creating sustainable integration. Time blocking has emerged as a powerful method for many professionals navigating integrated lives. Rather than maintaining separate work and life schedules, time blocking involves designating specific periods for different types of activities throughout your day or week. The key difference from traditional scheduling is that personal activities get the same priority treatment as work commitments. You might block 7 to 9 a.m. for focused deep work, 9 to 11 for meetings, noon for a workout, 1 to 3 for collaborative projects, and 3 to 4 for family time before returning to email in the evening. This creates structure while honoring both domains. Energy management takes a different approach by aligning tasks with your natural energy patterns. Instead of fighting your body's rhythms, you work with them. If you're mentally sharpest in the morning, that's when you tackle complex analysis or creative work. When your energy naturally dips in the afternoon, perhaps that's the perfect time for a rejuvenating walk or handling low cognitive load personal tasks. The evening might bring another energy spike for some, making it ideal for another work session before winding down. I'm particularly fascinated by the third space concept pioneered by Adam Fraser. This approach acknowledges that abrupt transitions between activities create mental friction and stress. The third space refers to creating intentional transitional rituals between different modes of activity. These might be physical, like a short walk around the block between work and family time; mental, such as a 5-minute meditation; or symbolic, like changing clothes to signal to your brain that you're switching contexts. These transitions help prevent the mental bleed-through that often makes integration feel chaotic. Values-based prioritization serves as your North Star in integration. Without clear values guiding your choices, it's easy to fall into the trap of saying yes to everything and feeling perpetually overwhelmed. This framework involves identifying your core values, both professional and personal, and using them as decision filters. When facing competing demands, you ask which option best aligns with your fundamental values, rather than merely responding to what seems urgent in the moment. Perhaps most important is the practice of regular reflection through weekly reviews. Integration isn't a set-it-and-forget-it solution. It requires constant adjustment as work demands, personal circumstances, and energy levels change. Setting aside 30 minutes each week to evaluate what's working and what isn't allows you to make real-time adjustments to your integration strategy. These frameworks aren't mutually exclusive. Most successful integrators combine elements of each. The critical insight is that integration without intentional structure often leads to chaos, while overly rigid compartmentalization creates unrealistic expectations and inevitable failure. The sweet spot lies in creating permeable but clear boundaries that flex with your changing needs while protecting what matters most. Organizations play a pivotal role in fostering healthy work-life integration, and the most forward-thinking companies recognize this isn't just about employee satisfaction, it's a competitive advantage. When companies merely pay lip service to integration while maintaining outdated expectations, they create a damaging disconnect that leads to burnout and turnover. Clear communication expectations represent the foundation of organizational support for integration. Companies like Shopify have implemented designated core collaboration hours, specific time blocks when everyone needs to be available for meetings and real-time collaboration. Outside these hours, employees have the freedom to structure their time based on personal needs and preferences. This creates predictability without requiring constant availability. The shift toward outcome-based performance metrics might be the single most important organizational change supporting integration. When companies focus on results achieved rather than hours worked or physical presence, they eliminate the visibility bias that has long penalized those who need flexible arrangements. This approach recognizes that someone who delivers exceptional work in 25 focused hours provides more value than someone putting in 50 distracted hours while appearing busy. Technological boundaries have become increasingly necessary as digital tools blur the lines between work and personal time. Progressive organizations are implementing company-wide no-meeting days, email blackout periods, and collaboration tools that allow employees to set working hours and notification preferences. Some companies have even started experimenting with auto-deletion of emails sent outside working hours to protect true disconnection time. Perhaps nothing influences integration culture more powerfully than leadership modeling. When executives demonstrate healthy integration practices, like mentioning picking up their kids from school, blocking time for exercise, or being transparent about taking mental health days, it gives implicit permission for everyone else to do the same. Conversely, leaders who send midnight emails while claiming to value well-being create a culture of distrust and burnout. Training and resources often represent the missing piece in organizational support. Many companies have implemented flexible policies without equipping employees with the skills needed to navigate integration effectively. Forward-thinking organizations provide training in boundary setting, digital well-being, energy management, and prioritization. Some are even creating dedicated integration coaches or mentors who help employees develop personalized strategies for navigating the complexities of modern work life. The organizations that truly excel at supporting integration recognize that one-size-fits-all approaches inevitably fail. They create systems with enough flexibility to accommodate different roles, life stages, and personal preferences while maintaining the structure and clarity needed for effective collaboration. While integration represents a crucial evolution in how we approach work and life in the digital age, we're already catching glimpses of what might come next: work-life harmony. This concept takes us beyond merely managing the intermingling of domains to actively leveraging the connections between them. Work-life harmony acknowledges that different life domains don't just coexist. They can actively enhance each other when thoughtfully aligned. Think about it. The patience you develop as a parent can make you a more empathetic leader. The problem-solving skills you hone at work can help you navigate complex personal challenges. The creative pursuits you enjoy on weekends might spark innovative thinking that transforms your professional projects. This perspective represents a profound shift. Instead of asking, "How do I manage competing demands?" we begin to ask, How can different elements of my life complement and strengthen each other? This isn't about doing more. It's about finding the synergies that create something greater than the sum of the parts. We're already seeing pioneering companies explore this territory in fascinating ways. Take Patagonia, for example. Their environmental internship program allows employees to take up to 2 months of paid leave to work for the environmental organization of their choice. Patagonia recognizes that these experiences don't just benefit the planet, they create more engaged employees who return with fresh perspectives, deeper commitment to the company's mission, and often skills and relationships that benefit their professional roles. Google's famous 20% time policy embodies similar principles. By allowing engineers to spend 1/5 of their time pursuing projects they're passionate about, Google acknowledges that personal interests and professional innovation aren't separate categories. This approach has led to breakthrough products like Gmail and Google News, demonstrating how personal passion can fuel professional advancement. REI takes a different approach with their Yay Days, paid days off specifically for employees to get outside and enjoy outdoor activities. This policy doesn't just align with their brand, it recognizes that employees who experience the products they sell become more authentic ambassadors while simultaneously recharging their mental and physical batteries. These companies understand something profound. When we stop viewing work and life as competitors for our limited time and energy and start seeing them as complementary elements of a well-designed life, we unlock new possibilities for fulfillment and impact. Harmony doesn't mean every aspect of your life aligns perfectly with every other aspect. Rather, it suggests that with intentional design, the various domains of your life can create a meaningful whole, with each element contributing something unique to your overall well-being and effectiveness. As we reach the conclusion of our journey through the evolution of work-life philosophies, let's be crystal clear about one thing. Work-life balance, as we've known it, is dead. And that's not bad news. It's liberation. What we've been chasing all these years was always an illusion, a concept born in factory age thinking that simply doesn't map onto our digital, always connected reality. The metaphor of balance itself set us up for perpetual failure, because balance is inherently precarious. One small shift and everything topples. No wonder so many of us feel like we're constantly failing. Integration offers us a more honest framework. It acknowledges the reality that our professional and personal lives are already intermingled and gives us permission to stop pretending otherwise. But integration without intention is just chaos. The key is thoughtful, deliberate integration that aligns with our values and protects our well-being. For you as an individual, this means letting go of the guilt that comes with not achieving perfect balance. Instead, embrace strategies we've discussed. Time blocking that creates structure without rigid separation, energy management that aligns tasks with your natural rhythms, creating meaningful transitions between different contexts, and most importantly, making decisions based on your core values rather than arbitrary notions of what balance should look like. For organizations, the message is equally clear. Policies designed for the industrial era are increasingly ineffective in the knowledge economy. Companies that thrive will be those that shift from monitoring hours to measuring outcomes, from requiring physical presence to enabling meaningful contribution, regardless of location or schedule. They'll be the ones whose leaders model healthy integration rather than celebrating burnout culture. What excites me most about this evolution is that we're not just replacing one productivity philosophy with another. We're moving towards something more human. Integration, when done well, isn't just about efficiency. It's about creating space for wholeness, for bringing our full selves to everything we do. And as we glimpsed in our discussion of harmony, the future might be even more promising. When we stop seeing work and life as adversaries in a zero-sum game and start recognizing how they can enhance each other, we open up possibilities for greater meaning, creativity, and impact across all domains. The interconnected future isn't something to fear or resist. It's an opportunity to design lives and organizations that are more adaptive, more authentic, and ultimately more fulfilling. The question isn't whether you'll participate in this shift. It's already happening around you. The question is whether you'll navigate it intentionally or be swept along reactively. So I'll leave you with this. Work-life balance is dead. Long live work-life integration and the harmony that awaits beyond it.